or maybe both to be off selling the injuries a while so that here's the thing, if both of them just were on TV, and we haven't seen Raw yet, I haven't, if they were just on TV the next day talking about other people or interacting with other people without showing the effects of this or maybe even taking time off to be medically cleared, then it's obvious that they've gone in different directions. But if one of them is off for a few weeks so that the other one could get involved in another thing with another person that's there, and then that person comes back later on and gets involved with somebody else, and it's not as obvious a split, right? Because they still hate each other. And if you were thinking logically, why would Drew want to quit now? But the answer is that somebody else attracts his eye or Punk gets involved with somebody else. It's a graceful exit. It's like we're going over here now, but it's not like we just said, okay, we're not doing this anymore. So it'll be more subtle.
Favorite match of the year?
So far, one of them. No, that was last year, the tag match with FTR. So that was over a year ago.
Yeah.
My, how time flies when all this shit looks the same.
Well, let's leave the cell and go to, what was the next match?
Let's leave the cell and go to hell. The Refrigerator versus Bayley for the women's title.
Did you watch this?
I tried to pick out various points and
Did you see the Frankensteiner or the Hurricane Rana or whatever?
No, I didn't. Now you're gonna make me mad. I missed something in this match.
Yeah, well, let me hear your review. Maybe you saw it and I saw it wrong.
Well, I'm going to the finish, so tell me what you saw.
I saw fucking Nia Jax kind of do a Hurricane Rana-ish move, from the rope, so she had something to finish, but she couldn't get it. It did not work. I was hoping you would see it. I was really hoping, but I'm sure you will now.
Well, Bayley finally, some way or another, was able to pick up the Refrigerator to give her the Samoan drop and cover her. But the Fridge, when the referee went down to count, they were going to do the spot. It looked like where the Fridge, the big monster person, kicks the babyface off of the cover and the babyface lands on the ref. But the Refrigerator gave Bayley such a boost, she went over the referee. And so she stood up and kicked the Refrigerator, and the Refrigerator fell on the referee's back and squish-ified him. And then Bayley hit her finish, but there was no referee to count. And here comes Tiffy. And she goes to hit Bayley with the briefcase and missed her. Not on purpose. She missed her and then hit her real quick the second time. And then went to the referee and is like, they're milking the thing, should Tiffy cash in on the Fridge? There's no honor among thieves, whatever. But while that's going on, the Fridge sits up and sees them. And that's when Tiffy pulls the case back from the referee, and they argue. And Bayley gets a roll-up and a 2 count. And then Bayley goes to top, and Tiffany distracts the referee, and fucking Refrigerator gets the Samoan drop off the top rope and a bonsai, 1, 2, 3, and wins the thing. After you have been Samoan dropped off the top rope by a 397-pound woman, do you need the bonsai drop?
No, I don't think anyone needs the bonsai drop from Nia Jax, no. I wish you saw this. Was so sloppy. I wish you would have seen this.
Well, it's just so much hours and hours of programming.
Like, oh, you guys are too hard on Nia Jax. If you watch her, she's improved a lot. So
I don't believe those people.
So I watched it. I wanted to see. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe you're wrong. And I watched it, and man, she sucks.
And you were wrong, and I was right.
I was right, too. I believe the same thing you do.
No, you were wrong, because you watched it. Because, see, you were wrong. You believed other people. I believe my own eyes. So I wasn't wrong.
You have to see the Hurricane Rana, but whatever.
I'll go back to watch the Hurricane. She obviously couldn't do a backflip of any description. All right, now you got me curious. So, speaking of people such as that, the legends of wrestling, X-Pac, Tully Blanchard, and Arn Anderson were in the front row with a bunch more rappers. Actually, I don't know if they were with them. Did they come in the same car? They were seated near the rappers, but I don't know if they...
Yeah, the thing is, they keep showing the same seats with different people sitting in them. Where does everyone go? Where do they shuffle everyone
Well, yeah, you never see in, like, match number 4, well, there's Tully really cheering on his favorite. And it's the same, yeah, maybe they've got a co-op for the tickets. That way it's less expensive. That's how they got the big gate. Everybody that bought a ticket, they chipped in the money, and they get one match. Or maybe what they need to do is just get on the telephone and call somebody, Brian.
Oh,
they could do that.
They could do that. This would be a wonderful time to tell people how they can do that.
Well, yes, because, the rappers, they got all the phones. They're big on the texting. They're the young people. That's what the young people do. They text and they data, and they take pictures with their phones. All those years I was a photographer, I could have made phone calls on my camera, and I never knew it.
The young people, or as you want to maybe call them, all of society, yes, this is how they do things.
Well, and they're very social, these young people, too. That's because they got the social media. And folks, right now, if you'd like to be like the young people, then you can get one of these dadgum, inexpensive, premium wireless cell phone type of plans. You don't have to buy the overpriced expensive ones. You can go to Mint Mobile and get these plans for only $15 a month with a 3-month plan, and that's $45. And that will carry you a full 25% of the year, Brian. That means that you could be with Mint Mobile for the whole year, and son of a bitch, you'd save even more. But what about if you stay with Mint Mobile for 25 years? Well, then look at the money you'd save. You could buy your own wrestling promotion. Can you do this math with me?
You may not get TV, but you can have your own wrestling promotion. But yes, Mint Mobile, great savings, great plan, easy to use, convenient for the listeners. Let's tell them how they can get it.
Well, not only convenient for the listeners, but also for the talkers. You don't have to just, when you call on a Mint Mobile plan, you can talk as well as listen. You don't have to just listen to somebody else. You can put your opinions out there. It's all about you and the high-speed data, the unlimited talk. Talk to your heart's content. The other people, they can't hang up on you. Once you call on a phone plan from Mint Mobile and the other person answers, they've got to listen to you till you're done. No, look, if they try to hang up, it doesn't work. They can still hear you.
Normal phone rules apply, just like you would on a normal phone, because it is a normal phone. It's your phone. Just a special plan, Mint Mobile. A plan for you. How can they get it, Jim?
Oh, so unlimited talk is just bullshit. You can't talk unlimitedly if somebody can hang up on you.
No, you're right. It's unlimited talk for the subscriber of the phone plan. They can talk without worrying about not you have to listen to someone else's unlimited talk.
Well, if I'm subscribing to this phone plan and I want to talk to somebody and they don't want to listen to me, the phone plan ought to back me up. That's right, Mint Mobile, ladies and gentlemen. You call somebody, they can't hang up on you. And right now, you go to mintmobile.com/JCE, and you're going to get your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month. It's a new customer offer because they want all new customers. The ones they've got now are pains in their asses. They want to switch the whole fucking batch. So if you become a new customer, so they can get rid of one of these other assholes that are running their mouths and making too much noise, we'll go to mintmobile.com/JCE and cut that wireless bill $15 a month, total of $45. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what it is. A $45 upfront payment is required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on the first 3-month plan only, speed slower above 40 GB on the unlimited plan. But once you get out on the open highway, you can open her up. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for all the details, Brian.
That's right, details, Brian.
No, Mint Mobile, Brian.
That's right. That's right. One more time, Mint Mobile. I don't believe I have to play a disclaimer here or anything. MintMobile.com.
No, yeah, just say it. Just mintmobile.com. That's where you need to go. /JCE. Save all kind of money. Talk your ass off. We don't care. We're not the ones that have to listen to you. I don't answer the phone when it rings because there might be somebody on the other end. Have you noticed that most of the time when you answer the phone, somebody is on the other end talking to you?
It tends to be that way, and you can be that way with Mint Mobile. Once again, mintmobile.com/JCE. Jim, back to Bad Blood. What do you think before we move on of WWE? It's now a pattern where they get a bunch of legends at a show and they show them at ringside. Of course, we laugh about them disappearing, but the concerted effort to have some sort of appreciation for history.
Well, and it's better than, again, Vince would bring guys in where he could, strip them naked or cover them in shaving cream or do some embarrassing thing to them. It's great to have the previous generations in the crowd watching the new guys and blah, blah, blah. And I like, especially, part of it may have been trans because there's a lot of legends living in the Georgia area. Later on, I think Paige was there, Diamond Dallas Page, and some other people, Scott Steiner was there. And I think they ought to do that, even if they had to flat people. Bring the guys that were over in that town or in that market or from that part of the country, and that, makes it even more cool. And then, hopefully, they'll do this for a long time. Months and months maybe, and then they'll do a goddamn angle with one of these people. And it'll mean something, but it won't just...
Well, they did one with one of them here, but we'll talk about that when we get there.
Well, but I mean on an ongoing basis to bring one of the legends back as an integral part of the festivities.
Well, again, they tease something later on here.
Well, but that, without giving anything away, I don't know that gentleman, I'm talking about somebody coming back to become an announcer or a manager or involved with somebody. I don't think the individual that we've yet to talk about is coming back for a long campaign. But nevertheless, I don't know if he's coming back at all. But before we get there, Damian Priest versus Finn Balor. Brian, does that pairing just send chills and shivers up your spine, or chills and shivers?
I had no chills or shivers, but I thought it was a good match.
That's the thing. It was a good match. And following the first one, was impossible anyway, but I've wanted to like Damian Priest. He has the size, he has the tools, he has all the things we praised him for. He was more aggressive in this match. He's been more aggressive, I think, since he lost the world title, which kind of, I think, hurt him because everybody's like, okay, rolling their eyes at that belt at that point. But it's something not clicked with Damian Priest. Is it maybe, Finn Balor is not a big time top heel. I'm sorry, but he's got the rag in his back pocket, and he's wearing fucking sneakers, and he's got the little voice like that, and he's, a foot shorter than Priest and 40 pounds lighter, or whatever it is. Would Finn Balor have just been the goddamn greatest thing that Ring of Honor had ever seen back in 2011? He's a Ring of Honor style guy. And they went back and forth in this. There wasn't anything wrong with it. It wasn't bad. It wasn't insulting. It was good as far as being executed, but I zoned out. I've seen they were together and then they've been apart, and it seems like they've always been together or apart. Am I just finding different reasons to explain why I didn't give a shit?
No, that was very profound.
And that, again, and then
You've never been a Balor fan.
It's just, I just don't, he's very good to be part of a group. I don't see him being the leader of the group or being the guy on his own.
You don't buy him as a threat to someone the size of Priest.
I don't buy him as a threat to society at large. And, then basically here comes Carlito and JD, and they interfere, and Finn gets a 2 count or 2, and then Carlito draws the referee, and JD slides the chair in, but Priest kicks the chair and nails Carlito and backdrops JD over the top rope. My God, he boosted him 20 feet in the air, and he totally missed Carlito. Poor fellow. The floor was there to break his fall. And then Finn dropped Priest and went to the top and did the double stomp to the back and tried it again, but Priest moved, but Finn got him with 1 foot anyway. And that, I don't know whether you're supposed to get him with both, miss him with both, whatever the fuck. And then he tried again, but Priest caught him with the choke slam 1, 2, 3. And that was the name of that tune. I like Priest when he's supporting Rhea Ripley, who is the star of our show.
Well, they kind of did something where they're separated on the show, too. And you have to wonder what they're going to do next one. Do you keep him as a babyface? Do you turn him back heel?
No, it's too quick for that.
Because it's like the LA Knight thing. Who do you see him working with right now?
Yeah, the only thing is that LA Knight is super over, and I think they think that if he'll work with some of these other middle card guys, that it'll elevate them, but it just kind of bores everybody else. But Priest is not super over. Priest and Rhea are super over, and Rhea is super over, and Priest is over okay. But who's he going to work with next, and I don't know. You got a few people floating around. There's a lot of talent in this salad bowl here.
Well, there was more salad to come.
Well, that's right, because Triple H had a big Caesar salad for us. So the crown jewel podium is in the ring, and Triple H comes out. He gets the Triple H chance. He recalls living in Atlanta in 1994. I thought for sure he'd mention, the fucking old sites like the original Chick-fil-A down there, the Dwarf House down.
And Terry Taylor.
But this was the 60th sellout of 2024, and because they're only doing SmackDown, Raw, and the occasional house show these days, that's more impressive even than it used to be. 60th sellout, largest arena gross in history, and they're loving that. And then he plugged Saudi Arabia, and the crowd kind of lightly booed. And then he announced that, and this, I know they wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't that Saudi Arabia is paying them, $50 million a show. We've established that. I think they've admitted that from their own chicken lips. Obviously, they know this is not a good thing to add more belts and more titles and to have their 2 champions meet each other anywhere but at WrestleMania, but because they're getting paid such a shitload of fucking money at the crown jewel in Saudi Arabia, the WWE champion and the world champion, men and women, are going to face each other. Neither of those titles is going to be on the line, but the winner will become a new crown jewel champion. And then they unveiled that new ugly ass belt, and there's green in it. Have you ever seen an attractive wrestling title belt with green in it?
I mean, I kind of like the one Hogan and Backlund had in 83, 84, but
that was green leather.
Green leather. That's the only green I can think of.
I'm talking about
Jeff Jarrett, when Jeff Jarrett had that bullshit promotion he was starting up again, Global Force.
Was there green in that?
That was green, I believe.
Well, green is a pepper tree, as Frank Spaceman Hickey would say. Well, maybe that's why they didn't make it, because they had a green belt. The fans here were unimpressed by this announcement, but they got to do it. Like I said, they're making however many tens of millions of dollars. But here comes Gunther, and he comes out and basically says he's going to be winning the crown jewel belt because he's the world champion, and He's going to win his match, and on Monday night he's going to beat Sami Zayn. They said they already were sold so far out they didn't even need that match on his pay-per-view. They're just putting it on television. And then Gunther said, well, let's put the spotlight on the legends and the fans because, and now at that point, I think Tully and Arn's tour of duty was over. And Goldberg was at ringside with his son, and I believe another rapper, wasn't he? Who was he there with? Possibly
he showed him next to Killer Mike earlier in the night.
There you go. Why don't they bring out the Temptations or some of the Motown groups for some of the old legends?
Because they're all dead.
That's true. Anyway, so the fans are chanting Goldberg, Goldberg. And Gunther says, because of course he referenced him with the promo he did with Bret Hart here a few weeks ago. And he told Goldberg, he said, I have to admit, see, I can do his voice now. See, you see, that sounds just like Gunther now, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Gunther says, I didn't really mean it when I said you were my hero. I was just busting Bret's balls. A guy like a one-trick pony like you couldn't be my hero. And then Gunther tells Goldberg's son, I hope he's a better father than he is a wrestler. And that's why Goldberg's been sitting there and they've got the reaction shots. And he's kind of laughing it off and smiling. And then when he got to that point, now he's hot. And he stood up and he took his jacket off and he hopped over the rail. And security came out and Goldberg was milking it and the people were up. And yeah, we want to see this. And suddenly Sami Zayn hit the ring and attacked Gunther and they had a big fight and a big pull apart to plug. Now they're plugging Raw on the pay-per-view. But I guess it doesn't really matter anymore, does it?
It's all content. You don't have to buy the pay-per-view. You can just subscribe to Peacock.
But anyway, I see what you were saying earlier when you said, well, they did something with one of the legends, but
Did that seem like the last time we're going to see Goldberg or his son with Gunther?
Well, I don't honestly think they're going to do Goldberg versus Gunther as a match because they wouldn't put Goldberg over and it would probably be a bummer if he didn't win because people would know it'd probably be his last match. But they're not going to put Goldberg over Gunther at this stage of the game because that would be ridiculous.
It would be ridiculous, and we don't know what they'll do and what will build to what, but we did hear, remember it was a while back, we heard rumors that Tony Khan and Goldberg did an interview where he said he wouldn't go to AEW, thought it was a clown show. And we know what Tony Khan has thought of Goldberg in the past, but Goldberg also said he wanted to do a retirement show or retirement tour. I forget what it was.
I think he said retirement tour.
There's only one place to do it if you're going to do anything. I'm not saying they're going to give him a tour. They're about to do it for Cena. You can't do it for two guys in a row. But
and you can't do it two guys concurrently. And when both of them, well, Cena's ready to retire and Goldberg's in his 50s. So it's not like he can wait around. That's why I'm saying this was for Atlanta. It was for, some footage. Maybe it would go viral or whatever. But I don't see Goldberg coming out of retirement for a match off of an angle like this or being a recurring character. But that's just me. Who knows? Anything could happen. Diamond Dallas Page, Mickie James, and Scott Steiner were at ringside. Steiner went from having his picture put up at the back door, do not let this man in, call police, to sit in the front row and get a camera shot in a Chiron. So anything can happen. Speaking of anything happening, Brian, would you like your very own Lucha Lowrider in toy stores now?
Oh, I got one for my son.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. I buy all sorts of toys for me and for my kids.
But I'm just saying.
He didn't have a Lowrider. He had a Batmobile. Actually, a few Batmobiles.
Well, I had a Batmobile.
He has a Ghostbusters Ecto 1, and now he has a Lowrider. So he's ready for all kinds of action.
I had a Batmobile because Batman is a hero. Batman is the crime fighter in Gotham City. Kids are supposed to look up to guys like that have masks on and wear long tights and a codpiece and hide out in dark alleys.
You don't need to use the Lowrider for heels. You can use it for your Cheech and Chong figures or something.
But here comes Dominic Mysterio and old Liv Morgan, the Weasley heel and his skanky girlfriend. I'm talking about gimmicks now, folks. They're disreputable people. They do horrible things. They have vulgar mouths, and they drive up in his fancy car. And now your kid can buy a Lucha Lowrider in toy stores now. What kind of kid wants to ride around looking like a heel?
With Liv on his lap? Probably a lot of kids.
Okay, kids between the ages of 18 and 30?
That's probably the prime audience.
I would tell Liv Morgan, I'd say, you come over here and sit on my lap right now. We're going to get something straight in between us. Anyway, so they come out in the Lowrider, which is in toy stores now. And then here comes Rhea Ripley, and she gets the big pop. And she has new merchandise of her own, the Dominic Mysterio toilet paper. Not original, but still, I'm sure they'll sell a bunch of it. I've got a roll of Trump paper, but I'm afraid that it'll get my shit dirty. So the deal was the women's title, Liv and Rhea, obviously, Dominic in the shark cage, as they call it, over the ring. But I was disappointed because I thought certainly Dominic, if anybody, this little weasel, he's going to know how to do this. There was no argument about getting in the cage, no fight. He didn't have to be forced. The referees didn't have to come down. Rhea should have been the one as he's trying to back out to drop kick him in the back and knock him into the cage. That whole thing, they skipped all the way over that. Have you ever seen the heel manager or whoever's in the cage just get in the cage and say, okay?
Never. It was refreshing.
What? That's the best part of the match. I remember when I told old Dick Worley in Baltimore at the Bash 88, I have to go to the bathroom, let me out. Anyhow.
The best part of the match is when the heel hangs upside down, traditionally.
Well, the fuck? The heel, all right, never mind. They did at least say that Dominic was scared of heights, but the time to bring that up was also in the build-up to the whole thing. He's not only claustrophobic, he's scared of heights, and Dominic's kind of sold it as he went up. But I was disappointed in that, because I was like, and then they didn't do the deal where all Rhea has to do is give Liv a couple bumps, and then Liv go over and yell up at Dom, like, help me, give me some advice, and Dom leans down, starts yelling, and the people will make noise, because it's Dominic talking. And then Liv does the deal where I can't hear you, talk louder, and he's screaming. And they scream louder, and then he turns to the people like, shut up, she can't hear me, and they scream. They didn't do that either. All they did was have a wrestling match. What the fuck? Anyhow, Rhea Ripley is not only the best woman wrestler in the business, she's better than half the men. And I must admit that Liv Morgan, in this instance, the match made sense. Liv was aggressive because she's so much smaller, she was sneaky. She worked the bad leg that they've established that Rhea's had problems with. So I liked the match, and it wasn't, typical girl wrestling of these days. And then finally, boom, 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 they did this fucking deal where I think Rhea had hit a razor's edge or whatever, and Dominic opened the door. And the door of the cage is hanging open, and I'm thinking, well, what? Number one, I thought it would be locked, and the announcers were saying, well, he must have picked the lock.
He picked the lock, they said.
Well, but then you should have seen him try to pick the lock. I think that he opened the fucking door too soon. I think he fucking flummoxed the spot. because the door hung open while Rhea did a splash, got a 2 count, got the cloverleaf, Liv got the ropes. They were fighting on the floor under the cage with the door open. I'm wondering if Dominic thought after they'd done the one deal, that's when they were coming to the floor, and he opened the cage and then it was too late to close it again. But nevertheless, the cage door's hanging open, but he's still 30 feet in the air, so he can't go anywhere. And then as they're fighting on the floor underneath the cage, and Rhea gives Liv a riptide on the floor, that's where Dominic leaned out to make sure that his girlfriend was okay and fell out the fucking door. And had wrapped the chain around his leg, so when he fell out, he was dangling upside down. I'm glad nobody had seen that spot when they used to do that to me, or elsewise, because I want to be dangling upside down from no goddamn chain. Anyway, at that point, Rhea tells the referee, hey, I need a minute, I gotta go take care of some business, and jumps out and gets a kendo stick and uses Dominic as the piñata, and she's wailing away on him when suddenly Raquel Rodriguez is back. And she jumps Rhea Ripley and gets a disqualification and beats up Rhea and helps Liv up and hands her the belt. So now is this a Camille Mercedes business with Raquel and Liv all of a sudden?
Well, it'll be Raquel and Liv and Dominic. And I groaned. I thought, I mean, not at Raquel returning, but just the finish of this match. It needed a better finish, I think.
Very blah finish and a letdown. But also, remember we said Raquel looked good at one point, but then they made her wear a bunch of makeup and softened her hair up and had her smiling and spreading her fucking shoulders out. And I saw the smile looked so unnatural. At least it gave her some personality, because here she looked like a goddamn robot. But that's what happened there. They couldn't beat Rhea, but I guess they didn't want to switch the belt.
You can't. Liv is so good right now. You can't change anything with her.
Well, maybe she could change her underwear every once in a while.
Well, maybe. You could ask Dominic about that. But no, she's so perfect in this role. And even her taking a beating from Rhea, it's not completely unbelievable. She's really good in the role they gave her.
I will, and as I said, it was a good match up until then, and everybody's over, but I was confused. They missed some spots with the cage. I didn't know why Dominic opened the door so early, and the finish was flat, but everything else was great. And I'll tell you, again, they missed, that's the whole reason to put the guy up there, put the heel up there. They could have had something that Rhea could have climbed up on and jumped off and swung the cage. The people used to blow when they would put me in the cage, and Robert Gibson was the tallest, so he would do it. He could jump up on the top rope and kind of walk a step or two down the rope and push the cage and swing me, and I'd be going back and forth and shitting myself, and people are going crazy. You have to fuck with the manager or the second or the partner or whoever's in a cage, because that gives people what they wanted to see out of it. So I was disappointed a little there. And it's easy to make people shit. In Houston, Texas, the Sam Houston Coliseum, they fucking, instead of having some type of professional apparatus and a chain and everything, they put me in a goddamn manager cage, and 3 guys pulled me up on a pulley with a rope and tied it off to the ring post. And I'm 20 feet up in the air, but every time that rope stretches, you drop about a half an inch. You're like, oh shit, this is a big one. I've been in cherry pickers. I was hung from a sit-down harness while I was in a straitjacket. My legs went numb. They put me in every goddamn thing, but you have to participate with the guy or the person or whatever that's in the thing. All right. Brian, would you like to talk about the main event? It's the main event.
I'd like to hear what you thought of it, yeah.
Solo and Jacob Fatu against Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, and this is what, the big, the gate and the whole 9 yards. Yes, Drew and Punk was a hot program, but this is what they've been trying to feature. What's going to happen with Cody and Roman? Will they get along? Will they break up? What's going to take place? And this was the big tease. And when they start this match, allegedly, they said the Tongas, Loa and Tama, were not there because of the beating they suffered the previous night. Have we decided that probably it's the shits to have a marching band and dancers playing Cody's music?
It didn't seem necessary for this, but then again, it was his hometown, and he's very much into big band music.
Well, then he should have had Glenn Miller or Kay Kaiser.
Cody's known for his love of marching bands.
What about Ish Kabibble? Google that one, kids. Boy, howdy, I'll tell you what. Anyway, it was the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff Marching Band. They weren't even from Atlanta. Did you hear the story behind this?
No.
Apparently, at one of their games, they played Cody's music, and it went viral. So he found out, I guess, and they got him to come. But a college marching band, even one as accomplished as the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, Cody's music doesn't sound right coming from a marching band. It's like Stairway to Heaven on a harmonica. So then they did the real entrance with the real music, and out came Cody and blah, blah, blah. And then Roman is ready to come out, and they have an orchestra. I mean, like, not a college band, but like an orchestra. There was a gray-headed motherfucker, looked like he was 87 if he was a day. But they got the bass and the strings and